On this edition of Good Day DePaul, campus crime is down at DePaul.
Traffic congestion, it's a growing problem for Chicago drivers, including DePaul commuters.
And criticism over Chicago's action on climate change. I'm Princess Siafa.
And I'm Hannah Lopez, and this is Good Day DePaul. Crime has been dropping on DePaul's two campuses as the weather gets colder. There were 45 criminal incidents at the Lincoln Park campus in September, 29 in October, 12 in November, and 6 in December. On the Loop campus, there were 6 crimes in September and 2 in December. In line with this, DePaul has invested $500,000 into lighting public spaces and will add emergency call boxes on the corner of Belden and Sheffield and also on Holsted near the Holt Schneider Performance Center. The university has made these investments after a surge of criminal activity last fall.
Some controversy over the plan to build a new athletic facility on DePaul's Lincoln Park campus. The plan calls for the demolition of 5 buildings. Some feel those buildings are historic and should be preserved. I talked to people on both sides of this issue.
Last August, DePaul President Robert Manuel announced plans for the construction of a $60 million state-of-the-art basketball practice facility on the Lincoln Park campus. The plans also call for the renovation of the Sullivan Athletic Center and McGrath-Phillips Arena. The university says these projects will position the university for success in the Big East Conference and nationally. Some people are concerned, however, that the project would demolish 5 DePaul-owned buildings to make room for the new facility. 4 are townhouses dating to the 1890s, and the other is an apartment building from 1925. Many feel the townhouses especially have historic value and should be preserved. Ward Miller, Executive Director of Preservation Chicago, spoke with Good Day DePaul.
When we first heard that DePaul was going to demolish these buildings, we were a little shocked because DePaul has always been a neighborhood university and institution that we all very much love and support.
Miller says the buildings fit nicely into the neighborhood and have beautiful architecture. He says losing them will affect the quality of life in the area. 2 of the buildings are orange rated, meaning they have some architectural feature or historical association that contributes to the surrounding community. In an emailed statement to Good Day DePaul, the university said, "While we agree that these buildings are beautiful, DePaul University's consultants did not find any evidence of landmark potential." DePaul says the new facility will feature a brick facade that mirrors the aesthetic of the Lincoln Park neighborhood and a high-pitched roof with floor-to-ceiling glass. The university says the facility will drive enrollment and athletic success on a national scale. Dwayne Peavy, DePaul's Director of Athletics, says there's a lot riding on the success of the men's basketball program, and this project will contribute to that success.
Athletics is the front porch of a university, and no matter what people think, I can garner a lot more media attention with athletic success than any academic program. That's just the world we live in. But it takes me winning to be able to provide that media attention to help drive enrollment, to help drive applications and garner attention for our university in a positive way.
Miller says his group is supportive of the school's effort to increase enrollment and student engagement, but feels DePaul should consider other alternatives, like adding onto the existing athletic buildings in Lincoln Park.
While they're down and renovating them, why not add on to them? This seems like a perfect time to add additional stories on top of these low-slung buildings that are 2 and 3 stories. Why not make them a 4 or 5 story building? Why not build all the lockers and all the facilities that you need in 1 or 2 structures that you already have? Why take on another site that'll disturb the quality of life issues, the charm, the beauty of DePaul, but also of the Sheffield National Historic District and the neighborhood? And why get all these community groups in opposition to your plans?
Miller also says there are other nearby locations that DePaul could build on without tearing down these buildings. But in a statement, the university says that After several months of research, the proposed site offers the most suitable location for this project's needs, while reserving other parcels on our very limited campus footprint for future academic and student service projects already approved in the university's master plan. PV feels this new athletic center is key to moving the athletic program forward, something he feels is critical to everyone interested in the university.
We owe them what we haven't been able to accomplish in the last 20 years to be able to understand what a healthy, vibrant, successful athletic program can do for a full university campus.
Preservation Chicago says it will continue talks with DePaul about finding a site that will work for everyone.
So we're actually very supportive of the institution and supportive of their expansion. It's just not here on this site.
Going forward, the city needs to approve a zoning change before the new facility can be built. If that happens, they hope to break ground in the summer of 2025.
So as it stands, DePaul has begun phase 1 of its project, which includes the renovation of the Sullivan Athletic Center and the McGrath Phillips Arena. Those projects began late last year and are expected to be completed late this summer. In the meantime, groups like Preservation Chicago and others continues to talk with DePaul and the city of Chicago to determine the future of these buildings. The Good Day DePaul here in the heart of Lincoln Park, I'm Princess Siapa.
Chicagoans are facing a rising problem: increased congestion on the city streets. Good Day DePaul's Michaela Wilson has the details.
In 2022, Chicago was ranked the #1 most congested city in the U.S. and the second most congested in the world. With a 7% increase since 2019, the city has seen significant delays, especially as car travel is reaching back to pre-pandemic levels. One of the key factors to this increase is the ongoing construction happening around the city.
Yeah, of late we've had like a trifecta on highway construction. Just been really unfortunate. We have first Lakeshore Drive under construction, the Kennedy Expressway. So both major highways coming into downtown. And on top of that, we've had a lot of sort of pothole fixing, bridge repair. And with that, there's been a lot of criticism. The city's kind of dropped the ball that these projects should not happen at the same time.
The Chicago Department of Transportation said they are working alongside the state to coordinate projects affecting the public to minimize the impact of traffic delays. However, Chicagoans think that not enough communication is being had with the community about these reroutes.
I would love it if, say, the city and CTA just in general was more communicative with older people as well. Or whoever committees are in charge of delivering neighborhood news out to people so that we just know when a lot of these citywide construction projects are happening so that we can kind of accommodate for them.
With construction projects happening all over the city, not only are the main roadways seeing an increase of congestion, but also an increase of greenhouse gas emissions.
When you have trucks doing deliveries, buses, and other vehicles, some of those heavy vehicles, a bit more pollution, and then they're in with the cars. So these heavy vehicles, then they're going slower, they're starting and stopping more. So some of we need food delivered. Well, that's going to get delivered in trucks. And the more and more passenger vehicles we have on the road, harder it is for those trucks, and the more air quality impacts because of the starts and the stops and the all that kind of maneuverability that gets worse with additional traffic.
In the National Lung Association's State of the Air 2023 report, Chicago is ranked the 23rd most polluted city in the U.S. The city is found to have a high exposure year-round to fine particle pollution, usually found when fossil fuels are burned. Northwestern University found that the Chicago communities located near highways and neighborhoods on the south and west sides are exposed to the highest concentrations of it.
If we're going to have traffic, we'd much rather have it electrified. Then we don't have emissions, or at least no emissions from the cars moving around directly. We do have to generate that electricity cleanly.
The American Lung Association recommends that cities with low air quality put more support into walking, biking, and transit infrastructure to help improve conditions. However, since the pandemic, the CTA has seen about a 30% decrease in ridership. Fewer people are choosing public transportation on their daily commutes, whether it be because of reliability or wait times.
There was a time when I got off work and it was a Friday and the trains were delayed and I didn't know why, but they kept getting delayed. Like I'd look and it would say 30 minutes and then I'd look again and it would be 15 minutes more. So I was like, okay, I'll just take an Uber. Well, so many people were trying to catch an Uber that day because of the train delays that I ended up not getting home until like an hour later.
The average Chicago driver spent about 155 hours in traffic in 2022. With continuous construction projects and transit accessibility issues, Chicagoans are turning to the city for answers. The NRDC Action Fund conducted a statewide study and found that 61% of Illinois residents support shifting investments away from expanding roads and putting money towards investing in the city's transportation systems. Residents want to make it easier and safer to walk, bike, and take public transit.
We can cut out almost half of all car trips if we can get people to ride a bike instead, or to take the bus or to ride the train, because 3 miles is not a long way. And if half of our car trips are just really short trips, like those are going to be the easiest to replace with bike trips and things, but people need to feel safe doing it.
The journey to improving Chicago's transportation system is complex, with a need for balanced solutions that address both transportation needs and environmental impacts. City officials aim to collaborate with experts and residents as they continue to move forward. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Michaela Wilson.
Nearly 2 years ago, former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot introduced a new climate initiative for the city, the goal to cut the city's carbon footprint. But some feel that not enough is being done to make this a reality. Good Day DePaul's Will Franco has our report.
In early 2022, the Lightfoot administration announced its plan to combat climate change.
I'm proud to say that my administration will be deepening our already commitment by releasing next week Chicago's 2022 Climate Action Plan.
The end goal of the initiative is still 16 years away in 2040. The city has begun the process to achieve this goal, but there is a long way to go. Outlined in the plan are objectives to lower household and business utility costs and waste, reduce garbage waste through organic composting and increase recycling rates, create a zero-emission transportation network, 100% renewable energy for city operations by 2025, and investments in renewable energy production by 2030. The difficulty of the initiative is amplified by the switch of power after the 2023 mayoral election, bringing Mayor Johnson to office. The city budget is currently higher than its revenue as Mayor Johnson vows not to raise property taxes. These goals will become increasingly difficult to achieve, particularly those with sooner target dates. Environmental professor at DePaul University, Barbara Willard, gives her insight into the plans.
100% committed is 100% renewable energy. So really that's the best way, is to shift so that we don't have emissions. We don't need emissions. That's a long-term project, though, and Chicago is working in that direction.
In August 2022, Chicago purchased a solar power plant in central Illinois from Constellation Energy. The power is used for city operations that demand lots of power, including airports, libraries, and water purification plants. The move to renewable energy creates many new jobs while the city vows to focus these jobs on equity. The plan hopes to also make access to renewable energy easier for Chicago residents. A move away from unsustainable utilities also lowers an individual's monthly cost for utilities.
If we were able to shift low-income housing to high energy efficiency, not only would these people benefit from lower costs of utilities, that's great for them, but also the city would benefit from lower emissions.
Another pillar of the initiative is cutting back on waste in the city.
We do sort it at home. We have like different bins for paper and plastic.
Only 9% of garbage collected from blue bins is actually accepted for recycling.
When you live in a city and you have very dense housing and you have people who are sharing bins, you're going to run into all sorts of problems with the contamination of that recycling waste. So really what you need is a vast education program. Now, fortunately, it's a local issue. So if you have the money to put into local education, Something, I mean, what they do is they typically just send out maybe once a year a recycling guide that no one really listens to. But if they had the clear recycling guide on every bin, we might have a little bit more efficacious recycling in the city of Chicago.
Often food waste contaminates these items, making it impossible to recycle. To combat this, the city added 15 new composting locations throughout Chicago. Now residents are able to better separate their waste in a clean way and cut back on total food scrap in landfills.
Well, I live in the dorm, so in the dorm setting there's like a lot of bins designated for whether it's just regular trash or plastic bottles, paper, whatnot, so it's very specified on where you need to put your waste in.
Sorting would help immensely because then you wouldn't have contamination of, say, paper by liquid waste that oftentimes comes in your plastics and that type of thing. But the problem with that sort of sorting is how in the world would we have the room in our alleys? And it would also probably increase the cost of recycling pickup.
One of the major causes of greenhouse gas emissions comes from transportation.
Not even just mass transit. I think people can definitely bike more and walk more.
While Chicago is still a car-centric city, the 2022 plan hopes to lessen the emissions from cars through viable alternatives. This is done through the full electrification of city and business transportation by 2040.
Electric vehicles, we have the technology to use them now, so let's get going.
Courtney Cobbs, a representative from the organization Better Streets Chicago, spoke over Zoom about the energy-efficient transit.
These are known technologies. This is not something new. Cities across the world, even across the United States, have been implementing this technology, and Chicago is just behind.
The main concern for this move is the cost. One electric bus is twice as expensive as a bus running on fossil fuels. Majority of Chicagoans support environmental initiatives according to the survey conducted for the 2022 Climate Action Plan. Despite this, many still believe that environmental protection policies will be the first to receive cuts when funds become sparse. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Will Frankel.
Coming up, some honors for DePaul athletes.
Those stories when Good Day DePaul returns.
2004 Skateboard Championship.
High school, moped.
How about you, Slim? Anything?
Something.
Looks like Slim's got a little paper cut.
It's nothing.
Come on, man. No, I'm gonna make you tell me.
Hey, kidney transplant.
When, dude? I didn't know you were sick.
I was donating it.
Someone in your family?
You gave your kidney to a complete stranger?
Yeah, saved his life.
Wow. All right. Everyone can save a life by being a living organ donor on matchingdonors.com.
The Chicago Tribune is reporting that Northwestern University is being investigated by the U.S. Department of Education. This after a complaint about alleged anti-Semitism on campus.
Enrollment on college campuses is increasing. Last fall, undergraduate enrollment was up about 1.2% nationwide, an increase of about 176,000 students. This from the National Student Clearinghouse Research Center. And DePaul says its enrollment is up by about 400 in the winter quarter. Enrollment at many colleges during and after the COVID pandemic.
And more changes in the educational standards at Florida universities, changes imposed by Governor Ron DeSantis. Now the state has removed sociology as a core course requirement. DeSantis has taken this and other steps to eliminate what he calls the liberal biases in public universities. But critics say he's trying to impose a conservative agenda on Florida universities.
Now a brief look at sports. In men's basketball, DePaul lost its 9th straight game, this time to Seton Hall, 72-39. They are now 0-10 in the Big East and 3-18 overall.
In women's basketball, DePaul has lost 3 straight, falling to Villanova 95-64. The Blue Demons are now 10-12 on the season and 2-7 in the Big East.
In track and field, DePaul's Billy Martin has been named Big East Field Athlete of the Week. This after Martin took first place in the women's weight throw at the Notre Dame Invitational.
And in tennis, DePaul's Jonah Gitzel and Shoria Vermont have named the Big East Men's Double Team of the Week. The two are unbeaten this year in their #1 doubles position.
Coming up on Good Day DePaul Blue Demon Challenge 2024.
Stay with us.
There are a ton of social networking websites, but one stands apart for a very special reason. This one saves lives. It's matchingdonors.com. Matchingdonors.com links living organ donors with people in need of kidney and other transplants. In the United States, 22 people die each day waiting for an organ transplant, most of them for kidneys. If you've ever considered becoming a living organ donor, or if you are someone in need of an organ transplant, visit matchingdonors.com, home of the greatest gift of all, the gift of life. Matchingdonors.com.
It's called Blue Demon Challenge, and it's one day of giving at DePaul to support important activities and initiatives at the university. This year's Blue Demon Challenge was held on January 31st, and again drew tremendous support from students, faculty, staff, alumni, and others.
That's all for this week's edition of Good Day DePaul. You can keep up with us by visiting our Vimeo channel at Good Day DePaul or by going to goodday.depaul.edu.
And be sure to check us out on Facebook.
And if you have any news tips, message us through the Good Day DePaul social media channels.
Thanks for watching. I'm Hannah Lopez.
And I'm Princess Siafa. Have a good day, DePaul.